So Donald Trump was sentenced today, and the man that the left has spent the last 4 years calling literally Hitler, actually 8 years, was sentenced to no jail time, no probation, no conditions.
After careful analysis, in obedience to governing mandates, and pursuant to the rule of law, this court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge.
Pursuant to the rule of law. That guy wouldn't know the rule of law if it smacked him in the head. It could have been stopped, too. But Amy Coney Barrett, this woman, voted with the liberals to okay the sentencing for the guy who will be president in 9 days. The guy who appointed her, by the way, after telling us that the presidents should enjoy presidential immunity. You can't make this stuff up. Look, there are so many legal persecutions, right? They're not prosecutions, they're persecutions of Donald Trump. I just want to recap what this particular one is so you know. Alvin Bragg charged Trump with falsifying business records because Trump paid his lawyer and then recorded it as legal expenses. I know, right? Now, Michael Cohen, who testified fresh off of a prison sentence, in part for lying to Congress, as well as tax evasion, was the star witness for this sham trial. Bragg alleged that Cohen paid Stormy Daniels to stay quiet about an affair she had with Donald Trump at Trump's behest to avoid campaign fallout. And therefore, it should have been recorded as a campaign expense instead of a business or legal expense. I know, this is stupid semantics, right? It's so dumb. Now, during the trial, Trump shared this letter on his Truth Social account, where, in fact, it said, Stormy Daniels, in quote, I'm quoting here, each party to this alleged affair had denied its existence. I'm not denying this affair because I received hush money. I'm denying this affair because it never happened. Okay, it's signed by her. She changed her tune when she realized she could be part of the Get Trump crowd and thought she might be able to get rich. And then the judge, instead of entering that into evidence, as it probably should have been, he placed a gag order on Donald Trump, at the time former president of the United States, and forced him to take it down off social media. Also, in order to get Trump, New York had to change the statute of limitations, not just in this case, they did it in another case too with E. Jean Carroll. And then they elevated one misdemeanor up to 34 felony counts. Now, during the trial, which just so happened to be at the height of the campaign season, weird, right? Just a coincidence? Alvin Bragg forced the city of New York to spend tens of millions of dollars shutting down huge swaths of the city while Trump was figuratively chained to a desk, and he was forced to be on trial in person every day. Now, keep in mind, while this was going on, Judge Juan Merchan's daughter was the leading fundraiser for Democrats. Much of her fundraising efforts and her emails and her outreach were based around sensationalizing this exact trial that her father was presiding over. You cannot make this up. She was being paid millions of dollars in commissions, and to this day, there's been no ethics investigations, no charges, not so much as a finger lifted by any legitimate law enforcement to look into that. And if you're still dumb enough to think that this is not political, have you ever heard of a guy named Matthew Colangelo?
Matthew Colangelo became the Assistant Attorney General at the very beginning of the Biden administration. Without having been Senate confirmed, goes and gets this senior role at the DOJ. And then after, I believe it's Gupta replaces Colangelo, Colangelo makes this remarkable downstream career journey from the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., and then pops up in Alvin Bragg's office to go get Trump.
I'm sure that's all just a coincidence, right? This entire trial was trying to label Trump a felon so the American people wouldn't vote for him. How'd that work out? And if you think it was about anything else, why would they sentence him to, after all this hoopla, no jail time, no probation, and no condition? He walks right out of there. Well, actually, he was on Zoom today. The American people saw right through this. That is why Trump got 77 million votes and won the popular vote as a Republican for the first time in like 2 decades. That is why Republicans picked up 4 seats in the Senate and even had a couple seats in the House. This judge, Alvin Bragg, and these antics made the electoral map look like that. Because Americans know the New York justice system is as crooked as a frog leg. Because people like the Clintons, who, by the way, settled a sexual misconduct lawsuit for $850,000, multiple times more than what Donald Trump settled one for, Not to mention the other multiple rape allegations against Bill, the one dead ambassador, 3 dead Navy SEALs. Not one of their 10 investigations, including by James Comey, amounted to a day in court. They had 1 impeachment. Both of them were disbarred. 30,000 official deleted emails and subpoenaed devices were smashed with hammers. Not so much as a trial. Forget about a conviction. I say it's time for a reckoning. If they can go back to 2006 for Trump and even further back for E. Jean Carroll, well, Donald Trump can go back to 2016 for Hillary. While we're at it, let's go back to 2024 for Kamala Harris, paying Al Sharpton, Oprah, Beyonce, Cardi B, Eminem, and a bunch of other celebrities to help influence her election. Why stop there? Where'd the other $1.5 billion she raised go? You set this table, liberals. Now you should eat at it.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.